I'm going to have to pull this a little closer.
I mean, I get it. It's a little chilly in here. I got a beanie on.
Can we call him Babushka?
Babushka Morkis.
I am Babushka Man.
It is my beloved Babushka Morkis. Hello, beautiful Babushka Morkis. I understand it is cold like back in the motherland, but what you understand is we are in America, and here in America, 56 degrees inside of a room is warm room. Please get it. You're a beautiful specimen, Babushka Morkis. With your you're a beautiful specimen with your red hair and your face burned deeply inside of your red blanket.
You look like a grandma recovering from both her kids and grandkids telling her that they're not hungry. Like,
What am I to do then?
We'd make them eat the borscht.
I'm warm. I'm very warm. I feel so good. I'm in my little cocoon.
I have so much serotonin coursing through my body right now.
I think you're adrenaline rushing.
Making my wiener tingle.
I want to look like one of those beings that can survive in without atmosphere. You know, the ones that can survive the vacuum of space.
I'm sorry.
That's my costume right now.
that's you at 56 degrees.
I just want to know what he turns into when he busts out of this chrysalis-like form.
Sweaty, but comfortable.
Sweaty but comfortable.
Something unknowable.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dane Holland, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer, and the truth about it is,
I'm Marcus Whitaker, 15 going on 50. I'm Electric Man.
I'm Austin Tiny Zent, and welcome to Gaping Out with the Grapes.
I don't know how to go from that to this part, but welcome to Nerd It Through the Grapevine, a podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture.
And today, we are doing a segment that I like to call Grape Advice, or Gaping with the Grapes. That's the subtitle that we come up with on the last episode.
how about it?
So, for those uninitiated, this is where we give life and love advice and just, so take what we say with a grain of salt and follow our advice because we're awesome at giving it. So the first individual wrote to us and said, "Dear Grapes of the Expanding Orifice, my girlfriend has remained friends with her ex-boyfriend. He says he has no place to go and she wants to move him in with us. What should I do?"
What?
You got to find out if he likes role-playing. And when I first say that, you're going to go, wait a second, I mean D&D. You got to find out if this person really likes to roll the dice. And I'm just saying, to go from 2 people in a house to 3 that like to play D&D, I'm only seeing a bright side. Because they could even pretend they're romance in the game themselves, and then once you're out of the game, off limits. You know, it's back to you two. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make an agreement there, that way all of it gets, the sexual tension gets gone in the game. Mm-hmm. They can do whatever they want there. They can describe the whole thing, make the noises, all that good stuff. And then once the game's over, once you're out of session, out of character, OOC. But if you don't say OOC, because if you leave the table without saying OOC, you're going to have a bad time.
And then that's when it gets into the furthering descriptions of that clause means that they need to invest in some cosplaying materials, because if you are in full character and you are your character from the game, then any actions that take part, unless you claim OOC, that's just your character that is taking over. Nobody called OOC. This is the way it works.
Yeah, and if you DM, you can set the highest DCs ever, so he's really bad in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, before each action. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not OOC, as we said. Right. You can have him roll for it, and it's like, sorry, man, the save was a 37.
Yeah, so
I just got a D20.
Yeah, you blasted off too soon, man.
That's on you.
You didn't have a good enough Constitution
just
modifier.
Yeah, you could ruin every possible chance of romance between the two by setting the DCs for their actions in bed far beyond his level.
Exactly. You failed your investigation check to find the proper place to store your mount.
What? What? What's you gonna put your horse in there for?
I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Back in the saddle again.
So, dear great boys, my best friend that I've known since kindergarten is wanting to pursue a career in rap. We are both in our mid-40s. What should I do? Should I support him? Should I tell him he's an idiot? I'm completely at a loss here.
Ooh, you know what? At this point, I think that why not? Why not? Number one, what's their shtick? And also how do they flow? Can they do it? If there is nothing saying that a person that can rap shouldn't rap.
But you need to understand your limitations. Like there's some of these people that try out on American Idol and stuff, like it's obvious some people are just doing it for jokes, but then some people have just never been told that they are atrocious and they are awful and nobody wants to hear you ever, and you need to do something else.
Fly soldier.
And then they kicked Simon off because he was too mad. Actually, they didn't kick him off. I think he's like a producer on all that stuff. But anyway,
Step one.
That's my 2 cents.
YouTube channel or a podcast of making the rap. You got to start from nothing to show everybody all the steps it takes for a 40-year-old person who's never rapped in their life to become a rapper. And I think you got to go funny. You can't be real.
Invest in a good thesaurus.
A great thesaurus. Oh, yeah. You
the
can
best
throw...
of thesauruses.
Make it sound like a foreign language, man. Like if this is English speaking, I'm assuming. Like make it sound way out there.
And if you're going to just, while you're in your 40s, just to decide you're going to explode onto the rap scene, just make sure you follow these simple steps. It's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We devour. Put in the work. Put in the hours. And take what's ours.
It was The Rock that sent in the question, wasn't it?
It was The Rock that sent in the question, wasn't it?
It was submitted anonymously, so it's very possible.
Dwayne.
Well, it would have been his best friend. Who's his best friend?
Who's
Kevin?
Stone Cold.
Kevin Hart? Oh, Stone Cold.
Yeah, I think it is Kevin Hart.
By God, we rolling them dice again, boys.
Stuck between a heart and a rock place. Stuck between a heart and a rock place.
Rock and a hard place.
And a hard place. Stuck between the rock
and a heart
and
place.
a heart place.
Stuck between the rock and his hard place.
Heart. Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
joke. Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
If The Rock and Kevin Hart want to make a rap album, go for it. Please don't charge me money for it, because I will buy it, and I'll be very sad the whole time.
And I will never get that money back again. I will never financially recover from
Nor
that.
the time it took to listen to the 3-hour-long album that they come out with.
Mostly just of Kevin Hart talking about, why you gotta be so mean about that?
That's pretty good.
So we have an update from the previous segment. Guys, I feel like I may have made a mistake. I wrote in the last episode, and basically I'm the guy that has the best stepson friend, and I started going out with my best friend's mom, like I said in my previous email. He was okay with it. I've taken your advice and have tried to assert daddy dominance, but that's the thing. It only partially worked.
Oh, no.
He feels like I'm his actual dad. I don't know if I should be happy, but the issue is, we're the same age, and he won't ever leave the house. He just stays in the basement playing fork knife, and I don't know what to do. I grounded him from video games, and he went behind my back and played them anyway. I asked him to clean his room. He doesn't do that. I asked him to do the dishes. He won't do that. What can I do to further establish daddy dominance? I feel like he's being very rebellious. Also, he's 35.
There is a cosmic entity that lurks out there, waiting for those who are dumb enough to cross the line, and that line is needing a whooping.
Yeah.
And that's when Mean Gene comes in. You need to hire Mean Gene to come in there and make sure that when a whooping is needed, he is there to take care of the whoopings.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know. Mean Gene he's pretty booked up because I try to get him all the time for myself. Yeah. And the man, you just can't get a hold of him. Or because you want him to get a hold of you, but he can't. He can't because he's got too many lined up. He's got too many out there trying to get daddy dominance. But Mean Gene daddy dominance is a whole nother level. He might actually, if you get Mean Gene to do this, he might think Mean Gene is his daddy.
You see, I think that Mean Gene actually stole a signature move from martial laws with just covering his body in baby oil just so he couldn't be grabbed. So he's real slippery. You can't quite grab onto him.
Yeah. I wonder how they'd be with Mean Gene taking over daddy responsibilities.
That'd be like two daddies and one mommy. I don't know if
Sounds
I could deal with that type of
an
situation.
evening to me.
Just about anything can be an evening. Yeah,
Not the morning.
Well, I mean, later in that morning, like closer to not daytime.
So if you're getting Mean Gene, it needs to be in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And be prepared to lose all daddy privileges because once Mean Gene's on the scene, sorry, you've officially given them up once the whooping begins. All it takes is one.
So guys, I'm completely at a loss. I just found out that my half-sister has a half-sister. So she has a sister and I don't share parents with that sister. The problem is my sister's sister's been flirting with me ever since we met. She sent me various pictures and texts that, let's just say, aren't very PG. What do I need to do? Should I run? Should I stay or should I go now? Sorry, as a small musical interlude. But what should I do in this situation?
What? It's gonna take me a long time to figure this one out.
So your half sister has a half sister. That means they're no relation to you. So that means that your half sister's half sister is attracted to you. Are you going to pursue or deny? Honestly, just for the sake of the conversations you'd have to have with anybody you ever met, avoid. Get out of there. Don't try it. Don't tell anyone.
It's like my wife and my sister are sisters. That's a sticky wicket. You don't want to be in that.
That's what you're trying to avoid here.
Yeah.
Would this be Sister like Act 4? How many of those movies are there?
Sister Act?
Yeah.
There's two of them.
Wait, no, Sister was a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was on about Whoopi Goldberg.
Me too.
Yeah.
But wrong.
Yeah, the twin show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this could be Sister Act.
I mean,
Is she a nun? We got to know more information before we can answer this
We need a little
question.
more information.
We need to know.
Is she a nun?
Is your...
Well, then that would just void the whole situation
Is
if
she
she was
hot?
a nun.
No, that would make it even more risque.
Can that
guess.
little boy still hit that high note? Or has his way gone with the voice of Mariah Carey as well? Are the high whistle notes no longer available?
Maybe he's a castrato.
Is this a Sister Act deep cut that you're talking about? Was there a young boy in that with a falsetto? Sister Act 2? That's real deep. What have you done? That's so deep. Oh, it hurts.
He does not look proud.
Don't go that deep.
He's kind of ashamed.
He's so upset.
That boy could sing.
What boy? No one knows.
I mean, I could look it up. I know it exists.
I believe you.
I just don't
I'm
know.
just upset.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know that it's a really high note. It's Mariah Carey whistle notish.
Oh, okay.
You know, like the whistle notes that Mariah Carey hits.
Right.
Very, very like that. So
you're saying if he's gonna pursue this, he needs to, what do they call that? Peacock? You got to peacock your way to it.
fake it till you make it.
By doing this note.
Yes.
Sister Act, technically the first movie, can be this whole situation. There's a website with orange and black on its like logo.
Orange is the new black.
This would probably go well with.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So in 1924, the last living castrato passed away. Just in case anybody was wondering.
Last living what?
Castrato.
What is a castrato?
That's where you take a small boy, that's really good at singing,
Okay.
like the one
Castrato
from
him.
this movie.
Okay.
You castrate him so his voice never changes.
That's upsetting.
So he has the range of a soprano, but the lung capacity of a boy. So, dear keepers of the vine, just recently started dating this young lady, and I found out she don't shave her armpits. She's got hairs under there, longer than the hairs on top of my head. I find her attractive, except for that. Should I shave her armpits, or should I just let bygones be bygones?
That is a personal choice, and it is a conversation. Beyond that, don't do it.
Don't shave them.
you
Make it
can't
a
shave
game.
'em.
See who's can get longer. Make it a
Ooh.
game.
Do the braids like
Braid
Bo, like
it.
Bo Derek with the
Exactly.
seashells?
Braid them.
Film it with your teeth?
I trim my armpits. I absolutely hate how much deodorant it takes for me to get through my armpit hair.
What kind do you use? What kind do you use? The gel stick or the wet stick? Oh, please don't tell me you use the wet stick.
I use like
Do you use the wet stick?
powder stick.
The wet. Okay, that's better. Y'all don't use wet, right?
I shave mine as well. Less
Like-
wind resistance when I fight.
So she isn't going to be as good of a fighter, apparently. But that's okay.
It's
she
a
could-
lot of drag.
I don't know. Also, it could create places to hide things. Like within the hair, you could have a throwing knife.
Oh.
So
Ninja stars.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Made out of sharpened debit cards, so they have both money purposes and weaponry purposes.
Right.
Ooh, you
Because now they have metal debit cards, so you can just sharpen an edge of them and
man.
swap on one side, knife on the other. Swipe or knife.
Man. There's so many uses for it. It's like, why get rid of it? You know?
I mean, you can grow it out long enough to use it as a comb over, maybe.
Like like if you don't have enough arm hair on the top, you can use your armpit hair. as
No,
your comb
all the way to
over
the top of
go
your
over-
head.
Oh, way up there.
Yeah, way up there. I think that's what Donald Trump did with his hair.
I don't
Probably.
think that I don't think that the hairs underneath your arm can actually do that.
What if they could though?
Well, then that would be a waste of a Marvel supervillain.
But look, I don't know if any of us know the terminal length of armpit hair.
I don't. I really
I
don't.
don't either. It could be a
What's
thing.
the
Longest armpit hair.
I'm going to allow y'all to Google this madness.
So it's going to be one of those, unless your armpit hair gets to the length of this person, you will be okay.
Yeah, one of the first pictures is Chewbacca. So yeah. Perfect.
You know, I get to scrolling on the internet and I find some random things sometimes. I had to look something up the other day just because I got something in my head and I couldn't get it out.
It's your
Like,
brain.
No,
Keep that in
no,
there.
it was like a jingle, but not a jingle, and it's from a cartoon, and I had to look this up. I'm like, what is this? I can remember something like a puppet with a cape on. What else is past this besides the theme song? Like I remember something like, why did he have a giant brush? The song goes, I love adventure. Adventure is waiting for me. It's The Adventures of Timmy the Tooth. And The Adventures of Timmy the Tooth was a very short run, straight to VHS video series based off of a superhero tooth and his cavity fighting friends. It was like puppets, like Muppet style Muppets that were teeth and toothpaste and a toothbrush, and they were fighting off like cavity kids and stuff like that.
Oh
And it
yeah,
was-
tooth justice in the American way.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
vaguely remember this the more you talk about it.
His friends live in Flossmoor Valley. Of
course they do.
He fights against
Jesus.
he fights against the Cavity Goon, Miss Sweetie, and the Gingivitis Gang. Timmy the Toothbrush, Bubbles Gum, Miss Flossie, Sydney Cyclops. I don't know where you fit in here. I don't know. She got her eye put out by bad braces or something. And the list goes on. It has no Johnny Paste. Okay, thanks. That really had no bearing on any kind of researching for me besides like, why do I remember this? Why do I remember this? Like, there's no reason to. I never watched it. I mean, it was on Nickelodeon. It was on video cassettes that I used to watch whenever I was a kid,
Okay.
released by the same companies. So then you get into movies like Anastasia, which were released by these same companies.
Anastasia wasn't a Disney movie?
Anastasia was not a Disney movie. No.
Why did I think it was a Disney movie?
It's a Fox Animation movie later purchased by Disney.
That's why.
And they stuck Mickey Mouse in it, right? Did they stick
no,
Mickey Mouse
that's
in it?
Fantasia. That's
Okay.
Fantasia.
Yeah, that's Fantasia.
different.
There's
That's
the
different.
flying rug and the monkey.
Anastasia is the 1997 American musical animated movie that was it had like Meg Ryan and John Cusack and
Robin Williams.
Did it have
Was
Robin?
the genie?
No, Robin Williams was not the genie.
That's Aladdin.
That was
Tiny.
Aladdin.
That's Aladdin.
I was
I mean,
close.
it was one of the Don Bluth films that I'd actually mentioned a few episodes ago.
Oh.
But it was and Angela Lansbury was in it as the main Duchess. But anyway, I got to looking into that, and I got to there was also another one that was released straight to VHS, and that was Bartok the Magnificent. And if you don't know who Bartok, not Bardock, but Bartok.
Okay.
He was the little mouse that was the bet of the, the bet, like, of if the Anastasia movie, sir, when Christopher Lloyd was the main bad guy named Rasputin, and then you had the little bat character that would talk like this and said, yes, I'll give her a ha, and then hey yeah, and they'll kick her, sir.
Now, at the end of that whole perfect impersonation, I do remember it because everything before that moment I didn't.
See, so that was straight to VHS, just like Timmy the Tooth was, though. His movie and his little side movie. And then that wormholed into like, God, well, that was straight to VHS. Now, what other stuff went straight to VHS that I might have remembered seeing? And there were like second movies that came out of other things. Like Hilary Duff, whenever she was really young, was in a Casper Meets Wendy movie. It was a second movie that, from the Casper series.
Casper 2?
Actually, the third. It was Casper, A Spirited Beginning, and then Casper Meets Wendy. Only one of them was a major production with like actual movie theater release.
Casper 2 didn't go in the theater?
No.
I thought I saw
Thought it
Casper
was
2
too.
in the theater.
No, and then another one that was straight to VHS was Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest.
What?
Yeah, I never knew that it wasn't in theaters.
No, it was great.
It was straight to VHS.
Wait,
it was
the,
an actually great movie.
the only Fern Gully
Yeah, the first Fern Gully was.
Yeah.
There were more of them.
Oh, okay.
So, but it was straight to VHS, and the other Brave Little Toasters were straight to VHS, which I never knew that. So there was the Brave Little Toaster, then the Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars, and the Brave Little Toaster to the Rescue. So
I saw all three of those, but
Brave
I guess
Little Toaster Strikes Back.
Yeah. Attack of the Brave Little Toaster.
yes.
Attack of the Toast.
The last Brave Little Toaster.
And then let's revert back a little bit, because then I got to thinking, I'm like, gosh, this is a list of 150 movies that were straight to VHS, and I've gotten to 15, and now I'm starting to not know any of them.
Oh, okay.
And then it got to the point where it was just dead ended, and then I got to thinking, like, hold on a second, what just happened here? Anastasia, the movie about the Duchess from Russia that escaped persecution and stayed in hiding and emerged years later only to be questioned the rest of her life whether or not she was the Duchess. That was a mystery for a long, long time, and a lot of people don't know that just because it was solved pre-Anastasia, the movie, coming out. But it was not solved from 1912 until 84.
I think I missed the part where you said that's based on a true story.
It is based on a true story.
Oh.
There's of course magic and flair and all this other stuff going on.
True story.
But honestly, there kind of is magic in the lineage of the story in the first place, just from a court mystic named Rasputin.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
So, I mean, the mysticism side of it was there. It's just whether or not people believed in the mysticism behind Rasputin, whether or not they gave it any kind of accreditation. But I think that it says, it was a little segment I was reading here. It says, in the years following the execution of the Romanov family, conspiracies began to emerge beginning in 1920. Numerous women came forward and claimed to be the Grand Duchess Anastasia. That happened in the movie.
Okay.
One of them, Eugenia Smith, wrote in her memoirs as Anastasia, which included a lengthy description of how she had escaped her captors and so on and so forth. Anna Anderson was another one. So the movie kind of touched base in a way that it didn't even, I don't know if it everybody knew it touched base on. Like, it had these people training this girl to be an imposter Anastasia.
Huh.
And they wrote their own segment of a multiverse that was an alternate theory and an alternate explanation, because I never realized this until I started looking into it. Like, theirs is an Elseworlds explanation of what happens, because literally all of these people that were trying to pass themselves off as the Grand Duchess Anastasia, they were all liars and they were all wrong. And the Anastasia movie, that was the animated movie, actually told a story of what if all of these people that were liars had one that was truthful in there and actually was. So it was a little Elseworlds multiverse kind of thing happening there from the reality that we existed in. A lot of the stuff kind of coexists. I mean, Rasputin, he was a gnarly dude. I mean, he was shot and poisoned and and he just didn't die. He wasn't dying. Too many things to cause him to die, and he would not die.
Perfect character for an animated movie.
Voiced by Christopher Lloyd.
Even better.
Soon on you will feel that the nightmares are real.
See, this is one of those movies that as a kid, you watch it not having any clue that it's based on anything in real life. And as an adult, you're like, I kind of want to watch this again now that I know that it's based on truth.
Yeah.
And just to compare the two, like, it's two totally different ways to enjoy a movie at two different points of your life. And there's a lot of movies that just don't hold up in any way whatsoever in any form or fashion. And then there are movies like this that's like, wait, this kind of like makes me want to, I don't know, I kind of want to watch it now.
It's
and
almost
learn
like
about
a double entendre.
And it makes me question whether or not I missed some stuff, because, of course, if you don't know it, you didn't miss it. Right. So now if you know it, you can go back and look at it. And there were other women in that movie that were trying to portray themselves as Anastasia. I wonder if there were name drops. I wonder if they match up with the names that were of the most famous ones known for the conspiracies. You know, the ones that were tried to pass themselves off as the Grand Duchess Anastasia.
or at least plays off their names.
Yeah, because the last one was Anna Anderson, and she died in 1984. Oh, it was actually 1994 when they found out, 10 years after her death, from a DNA sample, found out that she had no relation to the Romanov family.
So she was the one that they decided, yes, this is the real one. And then 10 years later, they find out, no, she wasn't.
Yes.
Whoa.
Dang.
She's got to feel good. Well, not anymore.
Well, not like they decided. It's just like she had basically done the best job of convincing people.
Yeah, she
that was her.
gaslighted them into thinking that she was actually.
Yeah.
She
until
infiltrated.
until actual DNA evidence proved like.
Wow. That's impressive, though, to be able to trick a bunch of people thinking you're royal.
Yeah, Lord did it.
The singer?
It'll run in our blood.
I don't know Lord songs.
Oh, come on!
I don't know Lord songs.
Lord's so good.
I don't.
I'm sorry for it. You know, nobody here would probably know that.
Luck just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler.
Ruler.
You can call me Queen Bee.
Oh.
Baby, I'll rule.
I've heard this.
Let me live that fantasy.
Okay.
You're welcome for the musical interlude brought to you by Tiny and
was
Shazam.
Lord? That's who Lord is?
That's Lord.
Okay.
I had no idea who did that.
I'm kind of removed from...
I only know it because Puddle's Pity Party.
Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I mean,
Hey,
that's...
hey. He has an amazing voice. He just dresses like a clown.
I agree, and his songs always have a very somber tone to them, sometimes depressive, so I can't really...
I like sad music.
It's the Puddle's Pity Party. What do I expect?
Exactly.
But... You know, that was just a wormhole that my brain got into that started with a tooth and ended with the truth. So it was kind of...
That's what you were working for this entire segment. So, do you think Brave Little Toaster is based on a true story then?
Yeah,
If Anastasia could be.
Yeah, it was written by a guy who failed an attempt, and he thought that toaster stopped and saved his life.
Oh,
Because he was trying to give his toaster a bath.
Man.
And the toaster just comes unplugged from the wall, and he wakes up delirious, and that toaster's like, "Little master, why did you do that?"
So it's like a Wilfred situation. The TV show Wilfred
Yep.
with the dog man. Because the main character, he tries to end his life with pills, but they end up being like sugar pills or something like that?
Yeah, like placebos,
A placebo or something.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden now he sees a man in a dog costume, but to everyone else in the world,
It's a dog.
It's a dog. So I feel like Brave Little Toaster could end up being that.
So he's just got a toaster he's carrying around with him everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, and a blanket, and his great grandmother's Kirby vacuum.
Yep. Man, if you haven't seen Brave Little Toaster, watch it. It's out there. Well, actually, I feel like I've looked for it on streaming services and I can't find it. Find it, watch it. Great animated movie.
So you got the Brave Little Toaster, except it's real.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a reimagined movie.
Yeah, it is.
It reminds me of all of our favorite movies.
All of them?
All of our favorite movie.
What
Every last one.
13 going on 30. No, I'm just kidding. But
Such a random ass movie. Like, how did that?
My wife. She planted the seeds of deception in Marcus's brain as he was
and
pacing
it was
with anxiety.
just too good to resist. And it's got a cool trope in it.
And Andy Serkis
But you
is
know,
in
hey,
it.
I'm open. I'm a kind of a free thinking, free spirited kind of guy. I'm fine to, be flexible for you. We can flex in whatever crazy idea you just had into this topic.
You can tell a lot about a person by the positionality of their feet.
Positionality?
You can tell how much they like you, because if they really like you, their feet are behind their head.
Damn it.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Flexibility. You
Flexibility.
said flexibility. So he said
Oh, goodness.
what he said.
Oh, you had to uncover yourself from your babushka blanket over there because you got to cackle.
You got a little too hot and bothered.
Now you're sweating in red.
He went from babushka to homeless real fast.
But no, I wanted to reimagine movies or just talk about anything. What were you? What did you just? What just went through your brain?
With my brain, 13 going on 30 would be would have to be something a little bit more drastic due to the amount of drama that has happened to this teenage girl's life.
Yeah. Well, it comes from a place of when a young person, because we can all remember being young and thinking about, oh, it's going to be so cool when I grow older and get to do whatever I want. You know what I mean? So it kind of comes from that, human experience.
But then once you get there, it's awful.
Right. So that
everything is
definitely should be a
difficult.
factor.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a trope. The young person is in an older person's body, But I don't know. There's some cool metaphors maybe we could, that could be cool to explore in a movie. Or we could just make it funny and go for the goofy.
I think it'd be fun to widen the age gap.
16 going on 60.
No, 7 going on 70. Because, at 7,
But that's close to the same thing in your life, though. 'Cause that's-
but it's
your
very
perception
different.
of it is different. Yeah, that would be
it's
some
so
funny
different.
stuff.
Yeah, because I remember being like 7 and thinking it would be so cool to be 14. Like, I could just own this world if I was only 14. I would have all my big boy teeth, and it would just be amazing. And then I got to 14 and realized it's not a lot different. And then I got to 34 and realized, wow, life was really f***ed my ass.
See, something just looking at the cover of this movie, which is just Jennifer what's her
Garner?
name? Get Jennifer
Is that her
Garner
name?
just dancing in the street, just being 30.
I could tell you if I saw.
We're all over that age, and when I saw that movie, 30 did seem like, wow, 13 to 30? That's a whole lifetime of a change.
It kind of is.
And
It totally is.
We're all older than the character that this kid portrays in this older body, making you think that, even the character's life is kind of in control in that movie. They've got everything going for them. And I'm
Right.
just like, I'm making a podcast about nerd stuff and farts in a garage with my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if 13 going on 30 were that, the 13-year-old would be like, yeah, this is awesome. There are no problems. Everything is amazing. I spend all my money on comics and action figures and video games. I dick around with my best friends on Friday nights. I've got 18 people that listen to me talk every week. This is the best. So that's how I know that life's pretty great for me right now.
Well, and when you hit about 30, you just hurt all the time.
Miscellaneous places.
Like
Bad,
it's like
real bad.
13 or 7, you're like, this is amazing. Then you go to do some of the things that you did as a kid, and you're like, ow, this really hurts. And it hurts for a very long time. And some pains you've had for so long, you don't know when they started or where they started or how they started. They're like another best friend, but inside your body that never goes away.
See, I think that's what happened if we reimagine this movie as a boy going from 13 to 30. Yeah. Because I don't hear many women at 30 years old complaining about all the back problems and the neck problems and the knee problems. Well, then again, their tolerance for pain is much higher than ours, so they probably do have that problem every day, but they don't complain about it like we do because we're a bunch of babies.
Well, also, I have a lot of back, neck, and knee problems carrying around this huge and females don't have that.
I'm glad that made the cut.
Well, see, and then brings the joke of like when you're 13 and stuff's going on down there, like whenever you want it to or not. And then you get to 30 and it's like, come on, man.
It's
Come
like,
on.
There's been times where you got to give it a pep talk. It's like, hey, buddy, buddy.
You kind of go
buddy.
from one extreme to another with these 13-year-old boys going on 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, 13 going on 30 from a boy's perspective would be pretty awesome because we gotta make it a little bit more drastic.
Well, that's right. The age gap, and I kind of like at least going to old because somehow I can't get this out of my head. I'm sorry this happened, but somehow it's got to cross over for when the old person's teeth start like falling out and coming alive, just like your little story.
Just like Timmy the Tooth?
Yes.
So
Their
think that
teeth
would
start
be-
falling out of their head.
I don't want that.
So we
Okay.
can make this a psychological kind of situation too.
I'd rather be
it's-
17 going on 70 just because you can have at least a little bit more idea of what's up. God, 7 going on 70 is a horror
that makes
story.
sense because 17, you kind of get the feel of how your body works. Right. And I'm gesticulating to the lower region, and so that would be more hilarious.
What if you just are wishing so hard to be a little bit older just because you're 17, you're right on the cusp of 18, you're about to be illegal.
You're about to be a full adult.
I'm about to be like, oh, just wish, hurry up, just I wish. And you wish too hard. And you wished yourself into your 70s. 17 going on 70 would work really well for that.
I think it would.
It would be a
yeah.
good sequel too.
And well, it's giving me Ghost of Christmas Past. What am I thinking of here? What's the story? Where,
Ebenezer Scrooge?
I
Christmas
guess.
Carol?
Well, at least just the trope
Who's
of like
Carol?
the 3 people that are visit you in your dreams or whatever to like make you a better person or
Yeah,
like
that's
or to like save you from something.
Yeah, Christmas Carol.
Yeah. So I don't know, just what you said made me think of that.
So-
because you're almost like seeing yourself like on the cusp of like the end of your life.
So we're going with instead of a young woman, it's a young man
Yes.
going from 17 to 70 in the span of a snap of a finger.
Yeah, he wished too hard.
And it's so tragic that as the teeth are falling out, he sees them living. Yes?
Yeah.
So we can get Timmy the Tooth. Was that the name of it?
Yep.
Timmy the Tooth. So we can kind of have a fusion here of worlds to where we got a psychological, almost thriller going on because as the teeth are falling out, they're all becoming their own living beings.
Yeah.
I think that would be
Or maybe
pretty
they're just the
traumatic.
older versions of Timmy the Tooth.
Well, you're assuming that that's not what actually happens.
They're the ones that lost the war against the cavities.
Oh my gosh, I can see
They're
see
the
it
battered old veterans that are like, man, we tried.
I could see it sitting on the side of the bathtub. It takes a miniature little piece of something sharp and it scrapes tar off of itself, and then it lights it on fire and smokes the tar that's on his tooth. And he says, "You got any milk?" It's a tooth. Calcium joke.
What's a trope that we can add to the young person in an old person's body that we've already got, and with the psychological, I don't know, bad psychological bad.
What did
What's
you-
the-
what'd you
oh,
find?
no. Oh no! I just saw the trope that he pulled up. Which one did you randomly pull up, Marcus?
Madonna Horror Complex.
Madonna Horror Complex.
That's exactly right.
Read what this is exactly, please. I think I have an idea, but I want to make sure I'm right.
A pattern of thought that divides female humanity into two mutually exclusive categories, Madonnas and whores. The respectable and honorable Madonna figure, possessing and protecting social virtue, is an object of worship and everything that all women should aspire to be. However, sex is not part of this. Any woman who fails to live up to the Madonna standard is disgusting and contemptible, driven exclusively by sexual desire, lacking in morality, humanity, an active sex life makes one a whore, unless one is married, and sometimes even then.
Okay, so you're 17 going on 70. You wake up and you're having such a bad psychological trip that your teeth are coming out and you're talking to them and you see them doing drugs and committing suicide from a conflict they had inside of their own mouth from the cavities and gingivitis gang that they had to fight during World War I. So that's the continuation so far of the story. Following up on the conflict of the two caregivers that you have that come on shifts to take care of you at your house because of how old you got so quickly. From 30 on, it just kept getting older and older and older until now in your 70s, you are a decrepit old man, far before your time. So you have two caregivers that come to your house and take care of you. One of them, absolutely disgusting whore. You hate her. You cannot stand her. Every time she is around you, you just get sick to your stomach, but oddly aroused like the other one who is a sweet angel can't provide you. So you know everything is all well and good from this sweet, pretty, beautiful, like so nice to you, talks to you about your teeth being real people too, and it's okay. But the other one tells you you're a dirty old bastard. You need to shut up and eat your food. And then you try to tell her about your teeth fighting against you, and you're like, and then the whore's just like, old man, shut up and eat. Fine, I'll shove your food in your mouth for you.
Plus, also, it made me think of this is a 17-year-old in a 70-year-old man's body. So there could be this driver's like, screw this, I'm not going to die a virgin. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to get busy now at this nursing home or wherever it is I'm at. I got to make this happen. So he's a dirty old man with teeth falling out, trying to get some, man.
And he's suffering from ED. So
God.
I mean, he's like grabbing it and like, come on, man. We worked so good a blink ago.
The teeth are giving a pep talk to him.
Fella, I think he's been out of commission since about 65. So I think it's a lost cause there, fella.
He ain't even got any teeth in his mouth anymore.
Okay.
And then,
The final.
did you see it?
No, I didn't. I'm closing my eyes so I don't see it. But the final trope for the movie
Is God was my co-pilot. So it's
That's why he ends up going and actually having sex with the sweetheart, because he finds out that it's not the physical connection that matters, but the emotional connection.
spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Marcus,
What is the God was my
so it's a specific type of the reveal that deals with God or a similar powerful figure, shows them that they've been shows them to have been with the protagonist just about from the beginning. Maybe especially jarring if it turns out to have been non-human sidekick. This is TV tropes talk here, so not all of it's going to be relevant for us. But yeah, basically, the movie I'm thinking of is one of the only ones that I can just think of off the top of my head is Frailty, I think, where with Matthew McConaughey and like him and his dad were like had to like kill people because his dad told him that God was telling him, and it kind of reveals at the end of the movie that some sort of supernatural thing is helping them get away with this.
Yeah.
So it's like God was my co-pilot trope.
What if the Madonna and the whore are the angel and the devil on the shoulders?
Yeah.
As well.
Right?
That too. That could be happening.
Well, let's say it's a Greek god. Which Greek god would
Okay.
which
Okay, a
Greek
Greek
god, would have been a part of this whole situation?
Oh God, all of them probably would have been amused by it, I'm sure.
It sounds like something Loki would do. I know that's not Greek, but it does sound like a Loki type
We
situation.
can go Norse. We don't have to go Greek.
Sure.
I like the Norse idea of
Because
Loki
Loki just
doing this.
foments chaos.
Yeah.
And how chaotic would it be to go from 17 where everything works great to 70 to where nothing works good at all?
Yeah. I've got just a bunch of new moles and just
Your balls hang like 17 inches lower than they did like 3 seconds ago.
You used to wake up. You used to wake up and roll over to like morning wood, and now you wake up and roll over to morning puddle. And it's just different things. And it's like life changes the way that science changes like the structure of stuff. You had your solid and your liquid right there from the same place.
You went from being able to trust a fart most of the time to never being able to trust a fart.
Oh man. So Loki can be the two nurses, yes? Like he can shapeshift.
Absolutely.
So I'm seeing Loki as both the nurses trying to teach you some kind of lesson while also poking at you.
but really he just traumatized you the
that's
entire
all
time.
he's doing.
Yeah.
Do you end up dying in this movie, or do you get to go back to being 17 and learning lessons?
I feel like since you get to sleep with the Madonna one at the
Loki.
instant of climax,
Okay.
that's when you transport back to 17 and it was all like a wet dream.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's
just
really good.
That just ties up all the loose ends right there.
It does.
I
Oh,
like
that's
that.
perfect. It was all a dream.
And you were there.
And I'm sticking.
And you.
Well, reimagining movies is a hobby, I think, at this point of yours and ours as well.
I just enjoy it.
And the show.
I just like talking about tropes too.
Well, yeah, and I want to explain why I am hobby to be here, because we're four nerds that find ourselves dabbling in all different kinds of hobbies all the time because we like to go from one thing to the next. At least I know I do. ADHD has a great hand in that whole situation to where I get really into one thing and all of a sudden the light switches on to another thing and I leave that room with the other thing and maybe I'll come back to it and maybe I never will. But I want to talk about our hobbies, and I think this is another good way for our listeners to get to know us a little bit better too, about hobbies that we enjoy in our regular life that we've kind of gotten pretty nerdy over because we go into some pretty deep dives of those hobbies.
Music, playing guitar.
Yes.
That's probably my biggest hobby as far as time spent. Because, and the thing about being a musician or holding an instrument and knowing what to do with it, at least to a certain degree, you hear other works and you can suddenly start to pick apart things and locations based on sound. Because you're like, oh, well, this is located right here on the fretboard, and just this sequence and this syncopation, it starts to be able to break down, and that's a very nerdy way of looking at it, as opposed to just trying to mimic the sound. It's almost like you got a robo brain going. This sound can only be achieved if you go into this position.
Yeah.
But then you get into different styles, and you get into different like guitar players and different picking styles, different pick thicknesses, different string styles, different string thicknesses. Wow, I'm surprised I said that right. But then
you second guessed yourself.
I had that.
Yeah.
Maybe a skid mark at the end of thicknesses.
And music is something. It's not just a hobby. Like somebody can just all of a sudden, watch enough YouTube videos that all of a sudden, like, yeah, I think I got a pretty good idea of this.
Yeah.
Like me and Tiny with 3D printing. Like we can just watch, 12 YouTube videos on what it all does and how it works, and then you kind of know it. Like you kind of just know it at that point.
Yeah.
So you can take a weekend and be able to talk to someone else about it pretty easily. Music is something like I know all three of you at some point in your lives have played music, and currently, like Marcus, you and Austin both do this kind of thing.
I do music
constantly. You play music?
I do sound.
He said play music.
That's kind of the same thing.
That's making sure the music is being played.
I play the most complicated instrument. I play the musicians.
Oh, that's deep. That's really deep.
Yep.
Okay, so all three of you currently
But you
do
can't
music.
control the musicians though.
In a way.
He can control
guess
the
in a
output.
way, yeah.
I can
Yeah, he
mute,
can
I can
you can
mute you
mute
so
them.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most control.
You can
possible.
destroy the music or enhance it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how does somebody get in? Like if somebody's always said their whole life, like, man, I would love to play the guitar. which a lot of people do. A lot of people get a guitar, and then it sits there and it dies.
Yep.
I did that. It's not dead yet, but it's still there. What would you do? Like, say you're talking to somebody our age, like who doesn't have a ton of time, like because you're busy all the time. How would you do it? How would you get into it, and not in a crazy expensive way? Because I think that's another thing that dials people back.
So if you've already got a guitar,
no, if you need to get a guitar,
Guitars aren't cheap.
no,
but go to the pawn shop and find somebody who has a passable knowledge of guitars. Find a decently cheap, like under $100 clunker, to take home and learn on. And then learn your favorite songs.
This sounds like the premise.
Learn how to strum the chords to your favorite songs, and then build from there.
Yeah, just like the premise to the song Jukebox Hero.
Sure.
Bought a beat-up 6-string at a secondhand store, didn't know how to play it, but he knew for sure that one guitar felt good in his hands. Yeah, something like that.
I thought it was Juice Box Hero.
No.
Juice Box Hero, stars in his eyes.
No, Jukebox.
Damn.
But YouTube would probably be the best source, right, of how to
I would
learn.
imagine.
Like,
yeah.
surely. Which I know that.
I mean, what would be better if you're just literally trying to learn some chords?
Yeah.
You don't think Cubase? Well, I mean,
not
Cubase.
Cubase.
Marcus
Cubase.
is does
YouTube is a good resource.
YouTube is a fantastic resource, but the problem with YouTube is that you get to a point to where you build no instinct off of YouTube videos. There are a lot of people
start somewhere.
That is a good starting point, but then you have to learn how to branch out in your own way.
Yeah, that's the beyond.
Sure. Yeah.
Once you know how to strum
beginning YouTube would take away what what my foundation started as, and that was like 3 guitar lessons.
See, and that's something I was going to say too. If money is not as much of an object as if you're willing to put some money into it because you're serious about it, I don't think anything can compare to actual one-on-one being taught how to do it. Because you can be corrected real time with someone else that can show you exactly what to do, and they keep you accountable as well. Because that's, I think, the biggest thing is when you start learning something like this, if you're just using YouTube and yourself, if no one's keeping you accountable for it, the chances of you continuing it are much lesser than if you were to have someone that you're actually meeting and paying to teach you how to do it.
Also, you're not going to appreciate the nuances of something that's going to be a nice guitar, but let me tell you something very quickly. The enjoyment that you'll get out of playing something that is a better quality instrument will actually treat your hands and your ear better than trying to get by with something that is of inferior quality that just looks like it. There is your training guitar, but there has to be a certain point to where you realize that this is not what's going to cut it for your actually, you actually training yourself to be a guitar player. I mean, you can't stick with your Johnson Stratocaster copy, that you got with a gig bag and a 5-watt amplifier. That's not going to cut it. You're going to have to further branch out. You're going to have to get into the technologies. You're going to have to get into the concept of why the sound is shaped the way it sounded. And, when Marcus does a lot of the editing stuff, whenever it comes down to, Cubase and a lot of other software like that gets into the deep dive of, okay, now here's a signal. Let's make this signal do some stuff.
Yeah,
and then there's live. Then there's live. Live playing that he does with he does his loop stations and he does everything along like that, where he's just got the taps and the tips and the tums that he does on his his acoustic that he has looped around.
And this is way down the line.
I hate tums. Tums are disgusting.
This is after
don't put tums in my mouth.
Well, I mean, when you get into something like that, like I play bass as well, and I learned from some weird VHS tape where a guy named Beaver was showing you how to play bass. He was in a wheelchair. He was actually really good. But, if it's something you do like and you do enjoy, you're going to pursue it and you're going to deep dive into it and you're going to learn the nuances and you're going to eventually get to the point where you want to get a good instrument and not just play with that, black and white thing, Johnson bass you picked up at the pawn shop down by your house that you named Christine.
Everybody ends up with a Johnson, by the way, just throwing that out there. I mean, and that's not meaning to be a perverted wiener joke because that's exactly what it sounds like, but everybody's ended up with a Johnson at some point just because it's like, hard times, dire straits, all this other stuff. Like, I got to have something. I'm going to get something. And Johnson's not super good.
I mean, I bounce between Christine and Mrs. Jones.
Same thing with First.
But I think a lot of people just they just want to get interested to see if they're going to be interested in it, and that's why you get a guitar. Yeah. You don't get a guitar because you think you're going to be the next Eddie Van Halen or anything. You just get one, and then you learn, and then at some point, it's like, I think I want to keep going with this. Like, I want to do this more than I do, and then I become obsessed with it. In my opinion, or in my experience,
you know yourself well enough to know if this is going to take off or not. Like whenever we first got into podcasting, like you're mentioning of like all the equipment that you're going to want to start actually putting money into, because it's nothing like playing on that cheap piece, which you do kind of need to start off with, because you don't want to pump a bunch of money into something
that you're not going to continue. Right?
Exactly. You don't want a $1,200 like piece of equipment sitting in a corner gathering dust and just remind you of the failure of trying, because honestly, that could lead you to not trying other things because you failed the first time at continuing something and you put so much money into something you didn't actually follow through with. With podcasting, like whenever I got our first recorder, I got something that wasn't cheap, but wasn't expensive, but it was sturdy and made for the job. Like I was like, okay, this is going to help me be serious about it, because I know that's how my brain works. If I have the equipment that's good enough, it's going to make me want to make that purchase worth it. And then we used that for a while, and then we upgraded to the expensive equipment. And now, like, I know, like, this is what I want to do. Like, and I put the money into it, and it's already worth it. So however you start, you need to figure out, know it well enough yourself to know if you're going to continue or not before you pump a bunch of money into something. Because there are a lot of hobbies that hardly cost anything to get into, like disc golf, for instance. I know that's something me and Austin play.
Me likey disky.
Yeah, we love it. For both of us, we have hundreds of dollars in discs and bags and, all kinds of stuff. But to play disc golf, you can go get an $8 disc and go to a course for free. Like, and that one $8 disc can last you until you lose it or break it in half on a cold day against a tree.
Yep.
Like, it's so cheap, and it gets you outside. It's a fun activity, and it does spiral into spending a lot of money,
because then you're looking into speeds and to flight paths and to where does it turn and where does it fade, and what weight is this going to be, and why am I going to use this weight as opposed to this weight, and what speed is what direction's the wind blowing? I'm going to throw this disc or this disc. It becomes complex, but it's also fun. It takes the same idea of thoughts that you'd have to have at like playing normal golf, except it puts it into how well can you throw this discus.
Yeah, and
disc golf is awesome.
It is awesome. Like, and for those that don't know, there are putters and mid ranges and drivers and all this stuff that just look like flat frisbees. They all do something different. Like you can have, and you're mentioning like all the different, like buying all these different discs. I have the same disc, 3 different copies of it, because as I use them, they fly differently, and I need these 3. I said need. I want these 3 discs to fly just barely different from one another, so that way I can know what throw I want to make with it. And that's not something you want to do right off the bat, but I think once you start, it's one of those, you get the bug. Like most people that start playing disc golf, you want to keep playing it because you notice you're getting better by the 9th hole. Let's say you're just playing 9. By the first hole when you throw it for the first time to the 9th hole, you've already seen yourself get better. And then you start to wonder, okay, the next time I come out, am I going to have this drastic of a change from, the 1st to the 9th again? And you probably are. And it's a lot of fun to get that bug and have people to go do this basically free activity with just one disc and some buddies on a sunny day. Like, it's so much fun.
Get into it even farther with a lot of your buddies and have a tournament and come in dead last, but have the most fun out of anybody. Except for Dane, who won the tournament.
I did win the tournament.
He used that bag. You won that big old bag.
I did.
That is now my big old bag.
Yes. Yeah, I won a tournament. It went from me having something called a T-Bird, which is just a one disc that's now resting in a small pond in Murfreesboro. May it rest in peace.
Barfield Crescent.
Yep.
I bet somebody's dug it out by now.
I hope so. Actually, no. I hope it's under the mud. I hope it's buried for life.
So I've been diving into a new hobby. I've not mentioned this to anybody except for my friend at work who is Norse pagan, because I knew he'd appreciate it. I'm starting to make mead. I've purchased some equipment and I'm making mead. There is 2 batches currently at my house becoming mead.
Oh my
one
gosh.
is a pineapple mead.
Oh, baby.
The other one is a blueberry mead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tiny.
I'm currently making 2 gallons of different flavors of mead.
Austin's face right now, he's very looks upset, but I think it's because he's so happy, but he's upset that he has to wait to try your homemade mead. What is this feeling?
How long have you had this?
I compounded the ingredients today before I came here.
So how long does this have to rest for?
Couple of weeks.
I love mead. I just absolutely.
I knew you'd be excited about this.
I just absolutely love
So
mead.
this is a new hobby
Yes.
that I would say within a few months we could even revisit to see how this is going.
Absolutely.
Like from what you've learned, because these 2 batches, let's be honest, they could end up being absolutely disgusting.
They could. Well,
But you make good things,
True.
consumable things. You do a very good job of making.
yeah, and I also followed somebody's example that I found on a particular website.
YouTube?
No, not YouTube. It's like a short form video sharing site. I don't want to mention its name.
Okay.
You're not talking about TikTok, are you?
Absolutely not.
Oh, good. Whew.
Yep, it's TikTok.
I don't care what.
Tiny
it is.
got mead off of TikTok.
Tiny. Is it TikTok? Tiny.
It's not.
What is it, Tiny?
It's not.
I'll bleep it out if you want.
It's just. I'm kind of self-conscious about it.
Okay.
It's TikTok.
I knew it. Tiny.
It's not TikTok. I swear.
Well, honestly, I guess TikTok is the new short form YouTube for a lot of people for things like this.
Well, I mean,
That's fine if you learned.
I was like, I'll check this thing out, okay? And then I found this guy. He's a ginger as well, and he makes mead. And I followed his recipe because it looked so good. And he made like a chocolate strawberry rose mead for Valentine's Day for his wife that he's currently in the middle of making. And I'm like, if this boy can make all these meads successfully, if I follow his basic example, I should be able to make a pretty decent basic mead.
Well, I can't wait to try it.
Me neither.
In the future.
I know. I'll bring some.
I've-
I'll bring some of both simultaneously. And coupled into that, I bought a Soda Stream because I'm like, I want to try carbonated mead. But the Soda Stream I got was a dud, so I have to take it back, which irritates me. Thanks, Walmart. But I thought that'd be an interesting thing, like a sparkly. I'm doing this thing with jazz hands with my fingers, pineapple mead. It just sounded amazing to me, and I'm willing to try it. And I'm willing to bring some for you fellas to try.
We'll see.
Well, I've been hobby to be here, considering we just talked about some hobbies that we all enjoy. And a hobby that I mentioned earlier, podcasting. I hope you enjoyed us doing that as our hobby as well. On Spotify and iTunes and Good Pods and Castbox and Audible. Go, if you're on Audible listening to audiobooks, throw us in there. Like, I think you even get like a little notification that we've got a new episode out, and it's free on Audible, and Audible's free if you want to do that. If you sign up on, we're not sponsored by Audible, we're sponsored by Subaru. No, we're not. But if you're on Audible and you do like the free thing, you can get a free book, like if you sign up on there. So go on there, get a free book, cancel that subscription so they don't charge you again, and then listen to us on there. You can give us ratings on both Audible and Spotify as well as iTunes. And on iTunes, you can write up a little thingy that says, hey, we love this.
Well, if you have any kind of issues with figuring out what you want to flavor your mead, whether, if somebody's done something funky to you and decided that they want to put bananas in your mead, you let them know that the only way that can be balanced is with peanut butter, and I want to show you how. And we can talk about that on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram if you look up at Nerd Grapevine. And if you wanted to donate a little bit to the cause, you can get on Patreon and look up Best Friends period, Tiny Ink period. And then you can donate a little bit of money and get a holographic sticker with the Nerd Through the Grapevine logo and be able to unlock future content and current content in which we possess that isn't safe to be viewed. Because if anybody just outright viewed it, they'd be like, oh, this is an audio medium. How did I not hear that? And that would cause them to have some...
Discord. Find us on Discord. There's a link in the description.
And it's become that time.
It's because he has to piss. He did it.
I saw the entirety of the long haul just then.
When life gives you grapes, Shazam.
When life gives you grapes, I'm going to do my best to keep those grapes until they turn into raisins. And I'm going to take those raisins, and next time I see Tiny's crack, I'm going to try to make them in there, because that is a journey that only I will know, and that raisin, and Tiny won't know what it is. He won't, because Tiny had to go pee real quick, so Tiny's not here right now.
He won't hear this.
We can make a new hobby.
We can make a new hobby. Let's start putting grapes in Tiny's butt crack until he notices them. Wait, what if he says he's got a new mole and he gets concerned about it, but it's just a raisin that got stuck?
Or if you think he farted too hard.
And it's just a raisin.
Can't trust them sharts.
It's just a raisin.
Grape sharts, baby.